What's going on, everybody? Hope you can hear me here. It has been a long time since my last live stream, but I am super excited to be back and doing a live stream for you guys. It's been a long time since you've live streamed when the bill comes in for your live streaming software of choice, which is Ecamm, and you're like, man, I have not used that that much this year. So we're going to change that. We're going to try to get back to some sort of a regular live stream. As you could hear, I'm a little sick, but I got my coffee, got my water, got everything ready to go here. So I think we're going to get through the whole live stream without a bunch of coughing. Um, it's been so long, and the main thing has been I have been totally focusing entirely on my newsletter. If you're subscribed, that's awesome. If you're not, head to the description of this video. You'll see a link to sign up for the newsletter. I have been doing it for as many years as I can remember. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of years, a lot of years, a lot of issues. Been focusing on that entirely. Heads down with that. I think it's cool because it's the only place where, the algorithm doesn't really mess around with what gets seen by the people who sign up. It's just if it's going out to you, it's going out to you, and you're going to hopefully get it, depending on your email provider. But it's been great over the last couple of years. A lot of readability. The subscribers have just been going up, so that's cool. But I miss live streaming, so I wanted to jump on here. I have a new issue of the newsletter going out tomorrow. Some of the things I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's newsletter, you're going to actually get a sneak peek of here in this live stream. So thanks for joining. The main things I wanted to talk about this live stream are Ross Campbell's new course, lead guitar 80/20 lead guitar mastery, which has been awesome. I want to talk about the Quartet series of apps, which stay tuned to the live stream here for a while if you want to win a copy of that app, at least the first volume and maybe even the full bundle. We'll see. And I want to show you what those apps are all about. Hopefully I can get my live streaming software to work well here so you can actually check it out. I'm running it live on my Mac, also for iOS. And yeah, a bunch of different things. And I wanted to talk in general about practice, really, about what's been working for me, what might not be working for you, whether you're seeing this in the live stream or whether you're catching a replay. Biggest thing is just ask me anything in the comments. If you have any questions about guitar, songwriting, learning guitar, teaching guitar, recording guitar, mixing guitar, any of that stuff, please feel free to ask a question. That'd be awesome. I've also been busy running around to a lot of different shows. One came up because of my day job, which was funny. Snoop Dogg, we actually got to see after all these years of listening to his stuff. But in the guitar world, saw Oasis on their return tour, which was awesome. I think they're still doing that. So if you have a chance to catch that, it's pretty pricey, but it was definitely worth it. They played with Cage the Elephant, who also sounded amazing. So definitely go check that out. That was a great show, worth every penny. And then recently, I saw Eric Johnson right down the street from me, which is wild. After seeing him tour on the G3 tour with Vi and Satriani, to be able to actually see him live and hear that tone right down the street from me was incredible. Eric Johnson is definitely still on tour, so if you can catch him, I couldn't recommend it enough. And then I also drove about an hour and a half up to PA to see Ariel Posen, who's also, I've been a huge fan of, wrote about him in the newsletter, have taken his courses everywhere, Brett Papa's site, True Fire, everywhere. Went up to Jim Thorpe, the show was about to begin in a little bit, wanted to get some dinner. Turns out his band was actually outside the venue for a little bit, said hello to him, watched the concert, which was incredible. I mean, his tone and his playing, his singing, all come through live, which was awesome. I will definitely see him again. And after the gig, he was hanging out at the merch booth, which was really nice and down to earth. Selling t-shirts, selling his signature pedal. It was very, very cool. And I had a blast, I had a blast going to see him. So if there's any live gigs that you've been into, put them in the comments or, put them in the chat right now if you're on the live stream. But yeah, just been jumping around to a bunch of different gigs, trying to catch as much live music as I can. I think Osnoy was in town the other day. So just trying to check out as many people, as many people as possible. Kirk in the chat I do feel like sometimes I'm nerding out about these guys, like Ariel Posen, Ian Thornley from Big Wreck, Julian Lage, but I know there's a ton of people that like these guitar players as well. For instance, after the gig, I talked to Ariel and I said, "Hey, man, it was really cool that you were on a True Fire live stream for one of his triads courses when he was sick." He was a trooper, spent at least an hour asking all sorts of questions about triads and everything else. And I said, "Yeah, you're really a trooper." And then the guy behind me in the merch line was like, "Oh, did you say True Fire? I'm actually taking that course as well right now." So it's always something. It's always something. It's cool. It's a really cool community that we have. Hope. Just a side note for people who've watched my live streams in the past or any videos in the past. Changed it up from a USB mic to this Rode mic. Kind of going through a little mini preamp here into my Scarlett. So hopefully the mic sounds all right. Let me know if it doesn't, and or if it needs a little bit more juice. But but yeah, let's kick right off into it. I think I wanted to start with just the whole practice element about, getting the most out of your practice and not focusing on stuff that doesn't matter, which is funny because it's happening coincidentally when I've been talking to Ross Campbell about his new course. Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate you checking in, man. Thank you. That's awesome. Good. Um, as a side note, before we even get into that, uh, Kirk, if you want to even put a link to it in the chat, Kirk has been doing some really cool stuff, with his music lately. I've been seeing it pop up on my Instagram feed all the time. It's really cool, like just getting all these different elements together, different genres that I liked in the past, whether it be ska or country or rock. And he's been just getting all this stuff together, and it sounds awesome. Go check it out. Support him on Bandcamp, even if you want to put the Bandcamp link in there. That's really cool. There's just stuff coming out all the time, and it's very inspiring. Even for myself, I'm like, oh man, I got to start writing more songs and recording more songs. So, yeah, Kirk, that's awesome. So, all right, let's talk about practice. So, like I was saying, it's very synonymous with, very similar to Ross Campbell's new course, which is called 80/20 Lead Guitar Mastery. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow in the newsletter and what I'm getting out of it so far. But what I really like about it is that it's focusing on just the things that you'll need right away. The course revolves around learning four modes, four scales that are really important and that you hear in a lot of different music. It focuses on Ionian, Dorian, Aeolian, and Mixolydian. So the cool thing about that is that if you already know your major scale and your minor scale, you already have two of those covered, right? So you only kind of need to know the modifications for something like Dorian and Mixolydian, which is great. What I like about this course so far, I've been checking it out the past couple days. Ross was super nice to add it to my account. I have other products from him, other lessons. I have his book from Guitar Vivo. I really love his lessons because I feel like he always packs a lot of good instruction into a short amount of time, and I always actually learn something. So I'm linking to him in the newsletter pretty regularly because I really like his stuff and I think I get a lot out of it. So this course focuses on those four scales, four modes, and not only breaks them out by showing you where the triads are for linking them up to chords, but also links them up to pentatonic patterns. Which, I mean, at this point, if you're watching this live stream, you know your pentatonic boxes, and it's cool to see how they can be added to and make the full modes, that these scales are part of. So I like that. Each mode has a full lesson on it, so it's like an hour and a half of teaching you just about the one mode, which is great. And then after that, there's what he's calling a vocabulary vault, which gives you all sorts of different licks to try and really get the mode into practice, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about today. Is anytime you're learning something, I think it should be immediately put into practice as quickly as you can. You're learning the Mixolydian scale, great. Go find a backing track and play the Mixolydian scale over it. As soon as you have the pattern down, try to understand what it's all about over real music rather than just running the scale over and over. I read a really great book called Fluent Forever, and it's about learning languages and everything. And they're talking about um, learning a language and not practicing just reading word lists over and over, because then you're just practicing memorization, almost like you're practicing for a spelling bee and not actually trying to learn the language. And it goes into this thing of kind of like spaced repetition where you'll learn a scale and then or you'll learn a word, right, even in the language, and then you'll try to not just keep reading it over and over again, you'll try to use it in context of the language. Same thing goes for music. So, the way I learn and the way I teach guitar is very similar to what Ross is teaching here in his course. You don't want to memorize stuff. You want to actually put it into practice right away. And the other thing is you don't want to sit down and you don't want to noodle too much because you're not really doing anything at that point. That's totally fine to do that. I mean, you want to play and have fun, feel good about playing guitar. There's a time and place for that. But just like running the same stuff over and over again is why you're not making a lot of progress, I feel, on the guitar, right? Like you're just sitting down, playing those 5 pentatonic boxes, and not like I'm trying to call anybody out, I'm calling myself out because I've done that the same way too. I sit down, I play my tried and true boxes, and it feels good for a little while, but you're like, oh man, what am I learning here? I didn't really do anything. So that's why I feel like it's so important to like learn songs. If something catches your ear, you should check it out. But otherwise, yeah, you're not really learning much. So let's take a quick look here at Ross's page. I just want to show you what the kind of like the page looks like here. Let me switch over to screen share. So this is it, really, right? Like learning all the 7 modes is, and this is coming from a guy who I like Lydian, right? And that's not in this course whatsoever, but it's actually, I think it's actually cool to at least hone in on the first 4 modes that you should really get under your belt if you want to have great solos. And again, that's Ionian, Dorian, Aeolian, and Mixolydian. And these scales are everywhere. And not only should you 1000% learn Ionian because everything jumps off from that scale, and you should learn everything starting with Ionian. So the fact that it's in this package is even, a good idea for learning everything else after that. So yeah, listen, the sales page here is a sales page, and I almost wish it wasn't like this because his courses are so good. I know this probably does something where you have this really long sales page and testimonials. Here's a testimonial from somebody who's been playing guitar, me, for a very long time. This is a great class, period. It's not cheap. It's on sale, I think, for the next couple days. What I like about it is that not only do you learn each mode, not only do you have all these licks, but you have the backing track. So you can, whether you're doing this through YouTube as a backing track or whether you're using Ross's backing tracks, you're all set to practice the stuff that you're learning right away. He also has Tab, and he also has Guitar Pro stuff, Guitar Pro files. If you have Guitar Pro, I'm an affiliate for Guitar Pro as well. I think it's a great application. I've told all my students to get it because being able to learn that way and see the tab go by, or being able to transcribe your own solos or transcribe somebody else's solos is really important. Guitar Pro is the best way to do that, hands down. So Guitar Pro files are in this package also. And finally, another person I'm an affiliate for is Vidami. You can use the Vidami pedal along with the lessons because it's already incorporated into this whole lesson package. So it's really, really good. I think it's a great course. If you don't want to get into that right away, what I think you could also do is check out his book. Right, it's a nice way to get started with the way he teaches. Let me see if it'll come up here. But it's by Guitar Vivo. I'm a huge fan of their books. similar to the books from Fundamental Changes. I just think they're a great value for what they are. This one is called Beyond Pentatonic Blues Guitar. It's with Guitar Vivo, has video, has backing tracks, 170 pages. I think it's super cheap, even the Kindle version. But you could also buy the paperback version. It's great. Ross Campbell, definitely one of my favorite teachers on YouTube. I think you should go check out the course, especially while it's on sale. If you have the money to afford it, I think it's going to be worth your time. One of the things I wanted to talk about too is these courses, right? So like I wanted to talk about some of the courses I'm getting into lately. So obviously this Ross Campbell one is one of them because I think it's always good, even if you know the material. It's good to see how somebody else teaches it, and you might learn something new. Also been still going on the Tom Bukovac course, which is incredible. Was also very expensive, but I think it's worth it. I'll get to that in a second. Looks like there's a volume 2 of that course for intermediate guitarists coming out soon. Love Tom Bukovac, one of the best players we have around living today. Who else? Ostrander on Brett Papa's site has just put out a great course, and I think he has another one out. Jack Root, all these guys are great. There's so much good. We don't have a lack of material to learn guitar from these days. And one of the things I think is maybe not a lot of people are still going to guitar teachers like they were back in the when I was growing up. I think a lot of people are learning stuff on YouTube, but when I was going for lessons, I think even back then it was about $50 an hour, maybe more. I would have to ask my parents, but I think that was the price. So basically $200 a month if you went every week. I think, when you look at some of these courses, some of these guys are at the top of their game, like a Tom Bukovac, right? Like this guy's out there. Ross Campbell, great teacher, playing the Nashville scene right now too, right? Moved from Ireland all the way to Nashville to get in the scene, which is a great scene. I love Nashville. When you think about it, if these courses are like $150, $200, it's a lot of money. But if you save up that money, if you were to save monies for lessons, I feel like these are replacements for that, right? In the meantime. And if you go with something like, I'm a big fan of TrueFire. I think you can get their all access for like $100 a year right now, which is insane to me. It's like millions of lessons on there from the best guitar players that you'll ever want to learn from. So, people always complain about the price. I never do. I feel like if you're going to learn a lot of things about guitar, that's not expensive to me. It's a lot of money, but it's worth it if you're serious about guitar playing and learning and becoming better. So I would love to know your thoughts on that too. That being said, there's a ton of great free information out there from all of these people when it comes to Ross, when it comes to Tom Bukovac, right? I mean, the whole pandemic series, even up until today, that you almost want to support these guys because they've given you so much free value over the years. That's the way I feel about it. And I feel like these folks aren't making a lot of money from album releases anymore. And if you want to support them, you either do that through merchandise sales, like a t-shirt or something, or you do that through course sales. That's how I feel. I want to support the scene that I'm part of. And so that's what I do. So that's kind of my rant on practice. Like I said, it comes down to not noodling, focusing on stuff that you don't know, getting it into practice right away. And then one thing I didn't talk about was just making sure that you do short sessions every day, right? Rather than on the weekend here, trying to play for an hour or two. It's great, but like you're not going to learn that way. You're not going to have the consistency that way, and you might forget things. I think it's more detrimental if you practice that way or do anything that way, exercise, anything. Yeah, I think it's important to just focus on, even if it's 30 minutes a day, you're going to learn a lot rather than practicing once a week. If you have any comments on that, I would love to hear it. So I'm going to take a quick coffee break here. And then I want to get into something I just recently reviewed, which I think is good for people practicing or playing live gigs. And And then after that, I want to talk about a book I've been checking out, and I want to talk about Quartet. And finally, I want to talk about chasingsound.com because I have a question for you guys. I would love to know your thoughts on it, um, about posting more regularly. So real quick. Okay, we're set. We're set. We're all good. Okay, so I've been working with a lot of different people lately, seeing musicians live, working with other people in the guitar community, trying to be as connected as ever. One thing that I have been checking out lately has been the products from Craft Geek. I know this sounds like an ad. It's not. I will put the I will put the link to this product in the description. Same thing with Ross's course. Same thing with Quartet. I just want to tell you guys about a cool line of products that I think is actually pretty good. When I get a lot of emails from different companies that have seen me review stuff online, whether that be in the newsletter, on the website, a little bit on YouTube. And Craft Geek was one of those companies that reached out to me. And at this point, I think I have 3 of their products. So their regular capsule stand, which, is the first thing they sent me, a tripod, which I'm actually using for my camera right now to do this live stream, which I think is awesome, and this capsule light, which is the latest thing they sent me. And also I have all their accessories for these stands. If you are playing with real books, or if you're playing out a lot, I think this is kind of cool. This is the new capsule light stand from Craft Geek. It says $70 right now, but it's usually on sale. You always see these old Manhasset stands, these old bulky stands. The Craft Geek stuff is sick because you do this crazy thing. You like tap it on the floor. You could check out my review. It's on YouTube here. You tap it on the floor and it opens the bottom of the stand. You flip the part where you read the music open together and just like kind of turn one element of it and it's ready to go. It's really light, but it's also actually really sturdy. So just wanted to kind of shout this out. Not only is it good for all that stuff, but I've been talking about Nashville a lot. One of the things I saw in Nashville the most was all of these musicians have to know so many songs at the same time that they have iPad next to them. Singer has it for the lyrics just in case they forget, and all the musicians usually have it next to them for chord changes in case they forget. All these stands, the capsule light, the regular capsule has an iPad mount. So you can have a book up top, or you can have whatever you want up top, and you can have an iPad or your phone on the same stand. And I just think it comes in a nice case. At least the big capsule does, or you can probably purchase it for this one. It comes in a nice case, and I just think it's great to be able to have a really good sturdy stand that's light and isn't something that you'll break your back with. And it folds, like I said, it folds up really nice. It opens really nice. I think I said it in both my reviews that, I never thought I can get excited about some of these things, like a stand, who cares? But it's actually really cool. If you look at this one, here's what happens. You just tap it on the bottom. You see this piece right here. You tap it on the bottom part opens, and then you have this part up top where this middle piece you kind of turn. It has, if you're using a book, it has sheet music clips, so you don't, it holds your book open. Um, I mean, I just think it's really cool, and then, yeah, this is showing you how you can put it back together after you're done with the gig. It's really portable. Like I said, I'm even using it for my phone right now for live stream. But yeah, it's great. I don't really like to talk about stuff if I don't actually use it myself. Um, and I think these are really cool. So go check them out and see what you think. Another thing before I get into Quartet, been a big fan of, even before I got my new acoustic, I got a Martin this year. Even before that, I've been into Marcel's site, Lessons with Marcel. I think it was just this week, put out this unofficial Billy Strings collection, which is awesome. If you are into bluegrass at all, or into Billy Strings in general, I mean, just Billy Strings shreds on acoustic guitar, go check them out. You should check this out. Almost, I mean, I would say like 80% of what Marcel does on here is do like the pay pay what you want model. This is the same thing here for the Billy Strings book. It's, you know, it's an ebook, and the cool thing is that not only is this like, this isn't really like songs that you'll hear on an album as much, but these are all different things that Billy played on, you know, on Facebook, on, you know, Carter Vintage, from a Newell Fest, a lot of live stuff or stuff from YouTube or social media or in a magazine that hasn't been tabbed out yet, but that Marcel has tabbed out. He's a great player in his own right. I think he's great. You know, he's such an awesome dude. I love his videos. I love the look of his videos. I think he always teaches in a really fun way, and I have fun watching his videos. So go support him on here. Not only does he have this book, but he has a ton of other tabs. Like you could go to the all tabs section here, and if you go to tab books, he has stuff on Tony Rice, classic. One of the things I started with was the Molly Tuttle book on some of the breaks from her Highway album, which is super fun. But you can see he has a lot of books here, and then on top of just the books, if you go to the tab archive and you go to all tabs, there's just like a ton of different tab. I think it says 392 here. That's wild. And even if you're not into this stuff, go check out his YouTube and see what you think, because you know, it's a ton of fun. I had a lot of great time learning some of this stuff. Some of the stuff is really hard, right? Like, you know, like I said, it's different than other genres, but it's a lot of fun to learn. So go check that out. Break out your acoustic, see what you can do with Marcel Arden's great books. And then finally, I wanted to talk about Quartet because I was checking out Chase Maddox's site on Chase Maddox's YouTube, where he reviewed this app, and I was like, man, I watched that video, and I think the same night I said, man, let me get in contact with the developer, see what I can do. And the developer has been so nice. Not only did he send me all four apps in the series so far, but he also offered to give away some of the first volume of Quartet, maybe even a bundle. We'll see what we do in the future, you know, how well this goes. So if you are watching this live stream, or if you're watching the live stream on replay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to talk about Quartet and why I think it's awesome right now. But for you folks that want to check this app out and get it potentially for free, we came up with an idea. He came up with part of the idea. I came up with another part of the idea, to say how many songs are actually in all of the Quartet apps together. And here's the answer. I'm going to give you the answer right now before we get into actually reviewing it. The answer is over 500. So these apps are split out into volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. And between all of them, and I'm not even talking about just the modifications you could do to each track, I'm talking about all the actual songs. There's over 500 songs in here. So here's what I want you to do. If you read my newsletter, first of all, you have to sign up to the newsletter. You should already be doing that, right? It's one of the best newsletters on Substack for guitar. Go over there, sign up for Six String Sunday. You could search it up by searching Chasing Sound, and reply to the post or reply to the email with that, that Quartet has over 500 songs, and you will be in the running to win a copy of the app. So I hope you go do that. Like I said, sign up for the newsletter. There's a newsletter sign up link in the description of this live stream video. Look for tomorrow's issue, which usually goes out around 10:30 Eastern. Reply on the post if you're viewing it on Substack, or just reply to the email over 500. And there's a good chance that you will be getting a copy of Quartet. One thing to shout out right away is that it is only for Apple devices right now. I think they tried it for Android. I don't know if it worked out so well, but it's for iPhone, iPad, and Mac. The cool thing is you're not double buying or triple buying if you buy any of these apps, because once you buy it on one, you have it available for everything. And I'm actually going to be showing it to you on Mac today. But yeah, Quartet is super cool. The developer was really, really nice. Here is their website, taking your jazz standards to another level. There's 4 albums, 4 apps. It's split, like I said, it's split up into 4 different sections. You could check out their website and listen to examples of the tracks. One thing that you might be telling yourself already, if you've been playing guitar for a long time, especially if you've been playing jazz guitar or any of this type of music, is man, this like kind of looks like iReal Pro, right? Or it sounds like iReal Pro. And I am here to tell you today, as a long-standing user of iReal Pro for many, many years, since the beginning of when it came out, that Quartet for most of the app is, head and shoulders above what iReal Pro does. So let me, here's the website. Like I said, let me show you. This is the devices that it's on. Okay, so let's take a look at Quartet right here. This is what the app looks like. So we are in Quartet 1. So this is the first, you can almost consider it like an album worth of songs, but instead there's like over 100 songs in this volume alone. What this does is allow you to get all these jazz standards and other, other songs, bebop, Latin, some like light pop. It's great. There's a lot I want to talk about. I'm kind of getting overwhelmed, but so this is one of the apps. The cool thing is if you have all 4 apps, you can do this great search. So let's go to the search page actually first. I'm in dark mode on my Mac, so it might be a little difficult to see the search, but one thing I want to let you know is, as you can see here, these are all the songs. As you scroll down, these are all the songs, not only in Quartet. I don't know if I've ever seen an app do this before, but they've done it. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen this. Having covered Apple apps and guitar and music apps for a million years, I don't know anyone else who's done this. So what it does is, I'm in Quartet 1 right now. Let's say I wanted to pick up, in the style of A Child Is Born. So I just search here, A Child Is Born, or, if I was looking for that. And if I click, I'm not going to do this right now, but if I click this song, it will open Quartet 2, which it's part of. You can see the app is Quartet 2, and it'll be the same app as I'm looking at now. It just has a global search amongst the 4 apps right now, which is sick. Not only that, but you can listen to a sample of each song. So for instance, I remember when I was learning jazz in college, one of the first songs that we started with was Satin Doll. You can just listen to a sample here. Hopefully also, if you're still in the chat, and you can let me know if you can hear that through the live stream. If it's too loud, if it's too low, or if it just sounds good, let me know. But it's cool that you can listen to a sample of the song. The other thing is, let's say you want to find a song that is a little bit quicker, 140 beats per minute. You can search by BPM here. You just type 140 and you can see all the songs. Awesome. Thank you. You can see all the songs that are in 140 beats per minute, which is great. Not only that, let's say you want to practice different type of waltz songs. You can just type time signature here, and then the results will bring up all songs that are in a 3/4 time signature. So like I said, you can do a global search. You can do a name search, of course, artist search, style search. You can do BPM search. You could do time signature search. There's a lot of ways. It's awesome. So that's one thing. The other thing that we haven't even talked about yet, that's just great. I just like that. I wanted to talk about that on the live stream. Another thing that makes this app so special is that, unlike iReal, which is funny, it's called iReal Pro because it's all MIDI, but these apps are all done with real musicians. And I'll get into a second about how cool it is that, not only are these real musicians that have played with real people, real, like Andy here, play with Paul McCartney, Seth MacFarlane, play with Taylor Swift, play with all sorts of people, piano, bass, drums. All these folks played with real, actual people, actual other artists, and are part of these tracks. So let's actually go back to Satin Doll. I'll bring that up here, key of C. So there's so much cool stuff you can do about this with this app. Not only can you see it in the, you could start with Accountant. You see all the information here in the top. You can start with the chords. So let's just play this, right? I can go back to the beginning here with this button. You have all the chord names on here. I'll let it play for a sec. Okay, so let's say that you want to get into jazz, you want to start soloing over this. You can, right? I mean, you can give yourself an idea by just looking at the letters, but this app is also good for practicing comping. So if you want to start comping, the cool thing is, you know, let's show piano real fast. You have the piano chords, but for us, you even have ukulele, but for us guitar players, it'll show you chord suggestions to play so you can learn these chords. Maybe you don't know how to play an E minor 7, right? But you have a chance to learn it right here through the app because of its chord suggestions, which is great. You know, these chords are more simple, but you know, there's some of these more extended chords that you might not be aware of. You can check them out going into guitar. If you already know the chords, I would just go back to the chord section. Other cool thing is you can increase the tempo. And like I said, this is real. These are real musicians. You can hear I'm increasing the tempo. The other cool thing is, let's go back to the beginning, right? See, it's starting with the A minor 7 into a D7. But let's say, you know, you have a gig coming up and you know, for whatever reason, you're going to play this song in B. You just do the minus key here. And now everything changes to be in the key of B, and even the song itself, right? And again, this is not MIDI. These are real audio tracks. So I guess they did some sort of, you know, time compression or expansion on the chords. I don't know how they did it, but it sounds really good. Check it out. And you could even do it live. Watch this. So it sounds, you know, sounds weird to me because that's not usually the key it's in, but check this out. You can bring it back up to the key. You can increase it in real time, and it's quick. Okay. We were talking about practice. The other thing that I like is the ability to loop sections. So like, let's say you want to just go over the intro a bunch, these couple of bars. What you can do is just turn the repeat on here as it's playing. Let me start from the beginning. You play it, you can turn it on, and it defaults to these first couple of bars. You can set that up in the settings. Or another thing you can do, you know, if you take the loop off, another thing you can do is you can start the start point of the loop and the end point of the loop as it's playing, and it'll recognize that too. So there's ways you can loop different sections. So this is everything right now, right? You have piano, bass, and drums. But let's say you don't want some of those elements. The cool thing that you can do is, here's the trio. You can add a sax to it. So these are other files that you can download. If you want just bass and drums for this track, if you want just sax, piano, and drums, depending on what you want to practice, you can download these other alternative mix versions and play with those instead. So it's super flexible. Other thing you can do is add the song to your favorites. Let's say you're playing Satin Doll quite a bit. You can add it to your favorites, which is really cool. You could add it to a set list. You could do an existing playlist, or you can make a new playlist right from the song. And then finally, something that I haven't really toyed with too much yet, but I want to talk about here. You can export the song to bring into your DAW. So like, let's say you're using Pro Tools, Logic, GarageBand. You can export the song to bring it into your DAW and then play with it there, you know, record solos over there. Or you can purchase tokens, credits for splitting each part out. So like, let's say you want just the drums, just the bass, just everything. You can do that. It's royalty free. Um, you upgrade the individual song, or you can upgrade everything for 50 bucks. I haven't done this yet. I don't have a need for it yet because I'm just using it for practice. Uh, I'm not using it for exporting into my DAW, but it's really cool. And like I said, now that I showed you that, let's check out something, in the style of all of you. So like I said, this is Quartet 2. Let me show you what happens here. If I click on that, it automatically opens up Quartet 2 in a new screen. And it's the same thing, right? Here we go. Let's bring it down to E. Sorry, D. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, if you, like I said, whether or not you're a jazz player or any other person that just wants really good backing tracks to play with real human being players, I think this is a great app to check out. Quartet 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, you have a chance to win at least Quartet 1. I'll talk to the developer. Maybe I could see if I could do one other bundle. We'll see. Like I said, it depends on how this goes. If you're watching the live stream, make sure to go to tomorrow's newsletter for October 19th, Sunday, and comment how many songs these apps have collectively, which is over 500 at this point, which is insane. I hope they keep doing this because I think it's a great, yeah, it's just a great way. You have the real musicians, you have a really easy interface, of how to use it. And you can kind of almost consider each one like an album collection, right? Quartet 1, 2, 3, and 4 all have different stuff. And it's an easy way to kind of get into it. If you win Quartet 1, go pick up Quartet 2 or 3, if you really enjoy this stuff. And tell me what you think. Or if you're using this already, if you're using iReal Pro, what do you like about one or the other? Let me know. I think that's it. I think that's it in regards to these apps. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I showed you most of the stuff. So I hope you dig it. I think it's a lot of fun. And it's definitely something that I'll be using quite a bit. Let me see if I could bring up one last thing that I just started to get into. If they have a website. I don't know if I mentioned Tom Quayle before, but yeah, I think he does have it. All right. Rather than kill the live stream right there, I want to go back to screen share for a second. I wanted to show you this new app that I just purchased. I think it was yesterday night that Tom Quayle announced. So in our chat, in our Discord chat, if you're not a part of that already, go join. We always talk about different apps. One of the apps that I've talked about for years has been Tom Quayle and David Beebe's app Solo, which helps you work on fretboard visualization. And I'll have this in the newsletter tomorrow. But now Tom Quayle, I don't know if David is involved in this one, but Tom just released Metric Flow. So let me just scroll up here. This might look just like an app, regular metronome app to you. And that's part of it. It's definitely part of it where you can select different, different time signatures and tempos and everything. It works as just that. But the cool part about this is the top part where it says generate rhythm. So not only do you have your metronome count going in the back, but this generates rhythms. And this is like a new way without having to learn how to read regular notation. It generates rhythms for you to practice over your time signature. I think it's about $7 right now. And it's a fun app. This is on iOS. I'm not sure if it's on Android. It might be, but it's really cool. I just downloaded it. I don't have a ton of experience with it yet, but it looks so fun from Tom Quayle's video. If you go to his YouTube, you can see him demoing the app about what it's all about. But it shows you different beats. It has different sounds for the rhythm and different sounds for the metronome that are happening at the same time. It's a lot of fun. I'll talk about it probably on a new live stream when I've, experienced playing with it a little bit more, but kind of like an insta buy for me because I like, again, right? Similar to some of this stuff like the music stand. How often does a metronome actually get you excited? I can tell you when. The last time it did was Time Guru, when it like kind of takes beats out to improve your internal clock. This seemed like a cool concept too. So more than happy to support Tom Quayle and see what he does. Okay, so uh, we've been going here for about, I don't know, 47 minutes, it says. I know I'm about to have a coughing fit over here. I'm glad I lasted a little bit under an hour here. I do have one more question to wrap up the live stream, or if, like I said, if you're watching this on a replay, thank you. I'm definitely going to get back to doing more live streams because I just love jumping on here, talking about different stuff. It kind of has the same vibe for me as writing the newsletter each week. So, with that being said, it kind of goes in tandem with the newsletter. Been writing the newsletter for as long as I can remember. I love putting it out. It always goes out on Sunday, in some form or another, right? Usually it's a lot of words about me talking about links and stuff I'm into. But I feel like my website itself has been kind of dormant, right? Like chasingsound.com has been kind of dormant, save for a couple things here and there. What I wanted to ask for you, and feel free to comment here or email me. It's just Brian at chasingsound.com. What I'm thinking of doing, and I'm pretty sure that I am going to start doing, is trying to comment on some of these links that I will share in the newsletter on the website too. So you have kind of like multiple ways to get at it. Of course, I'd want you to be subscribed to the newsletter because that's my favorite place to, you know, get everyone together, talk about as much stuff as I can on one day in one newsletter. But if I find something really cool, like the course I mentioned before, or Quartet, or this app, Metric Flow, or anything else, I'm thinking of doing like these small link posts, kind of similar to like what, I don't know, like a John Gruber would do for Apple, right? Where he has a lot of like link posts where he links outside of his website, but has a comment. So it's like a mini commentary throughout the week. And then at the end of the week, you get the full newsletter with everything and all my thoughts after I've had like more time to sit with some of the stuff. I want to know if you think that would be cool, or if you would like to see Chasing Sound in another format. Some folks have asked me to turn these live streams into like a podcast because not so much of it is visual that you just be able to turn it on in your podcast player of choice and listen to it. If that would be cool to you, newsletter is my bread and butter. That's what I love doing. But let me know what you think about posting more regularly on the site, like these kind of like small one hitters, getting a podcast together, or maybe a different format for the podcast. And I think that's it. So had a lot of fun, talking to you guys. Really excited to get the live streams going again, maybe every other week or so, just to try to get an episode going. Go check out Ross Campbell's course. Tell him that I sent you over there. Go check out Quartet. Don't forget tomorrow's newsletter going out 10:30 Eastern to comment over 500 songs. And like I said, you have a really good chance of winning a copy of the app for yourself, for your own Apple device. And then, check out everything else I mentioned. These are all, like I said, if I'm sharing it on something like this, or if I'm sharing it on something like the newsletter, it's something I actually enjoy. So it has the Brian Chasing Sound stamp of approval. All right. If you were here, thank you so much. If you're checking out the replay, thank you so much. And I will see you soon. Hold me to that. I will see you soon. All right. Thanks a lot.